Alright, so we got the Great War of Tamriel. Why Mir deserves the worst. Wow, this video's from PancreasNoWork. Make sure y'all check the boy out. Other than that, let's go right to let's go.
It's no secret I love elves more than any other fantasy race. They truly are perfect, and I will defend them in almost any form.
Okay, so I'm thinking automatically this is Warhammer Fantasy. So this isn't 40k. This is fantasy, y'all.
Be it as a faction such as the Asur or the Eldar, or as individuals such as Teclis and Eldrad. I will defend almost any elven race in some capacity. Even the ones that are evil or just generally harmful. The Wood Elves are...
Boy, he built like prime Brock Lesnar. Boy, you see him? Yo, he look like Killer Croc from Batman.
psychotic, but they're awesome. The Dark Eldar might be the only people in existence trying to out-evil the forces of hell, but that gives them a certain charm as a faction, and if nothing else, everyone loves a good villain. But for something that will become a running theme of this video, I said I will simp for and defend almost any elf. Lord of the Rings, Warhammer, the various Dungeons & Dragons systems, I love those elves quite a bit. But as for the topic of today's video, I will not be defending these elves. I would never defend these elves in a million years. In fact, let me sum up my opinion towards them with a question. If I am not supposed to brutally slaughter every single Altmer I come across, then why is this axe especially deadly to elves? So with that in mind, let's learn about the Great War.
Hold up, Pan. Yo, Pan, hold up, bro. You sounding more and more like a school threat. Bro, I've never heard this amount of hate come from your videos. Yo, tell us what's wrong, bro. What happened? Your girlfriend giving you trouble? Yo, I've never heard you ever dislike I've never heard him have this amount of hate towards anything and anybody. Something has to be going on. Bro, I've never heard him hate like this. This is some real this is some prime Twitter hating. This is crazy.
Not the one with trenches, the one with magic and elf murder. To explain how this travesty came about, we have to look at the fourth game of the Elder Scrolls series, Oblivion. The Oblivion Crisis, where Mehrunes Dagon decided invading reality was as good a way to spend a couple of weeks as any, did not only affect Cyrodiil. It's where the worst stuff went down, sure, but not the only place. All across Tamriel did the jaws of Oblivion open wide to swallow the world. Some places held out better than others, as I'm sure you're aware because it circulated around the internet quite a bit a while ago. The Argonians not only repelled the invasion, but forced the Daedra to close their portals because they started counter-invading. Let that be a lesson to any Dunmer trying to start shit because they still think they're in Morrowind. But in other places, such as the Somerset Isles where the High Elves of Elder Scrolls chiefly reside, it was a different story. The Daedra had ended up overrunning most of the island, and only Crystal Tower remained standing. The commanding rage Ryandor and his fellow wizards and archers killed so many Daedra that those that followed literally climbed over the defending walls on top of their fellows' corpses. This was not enough, however, and the
Oh, Lord, bro. I couldn't do it, y'all. I couldn't do it, bro. I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. I know I'm pausing a lot in the first 2 minutes, yo, but I couldn't do it, bro. Imagine, bro, I'm in a war or whatever, bro, and all my boys are going out bad, bro. Yo, all my boys are going out 300 style. Y'all know the movie 300? Y'all know what happened to them at the end? Bro, they got lit up, bro. Lit up with arrows. Bro, imagine all my boys going out bad, and I gotta climb over their bodies. Oh my goodness. Man, you couldn't pay me $1 million. You couldn't pay me $1 million to do that, bro. I can't lie to you, I'm retreating. Yo, I don't even care if the king take my head the next morning, bro. I'm retreating, bro.
Crystal Tower was torn apart by Daedric war machines. Just as things were about to end in total Altmer death, however, the Daedra all disappeared in an instant.
Man.
We know that this was because of the efforts of the hero of Kvatch and Martin Septim's sacrifice to defeat Mehrunes Dagon and end his assault on Tamriel. But the High Elves knew no such thing. They only knew that they were on the brink of getting their own version of the fall of the Eldar, and then suddenly all the demons just up and left. A quote from Lathanil of Sunhold even says that they were desperate to find out just who did this so they could thank them, because whoever shut down this invasion saved the entirety of the Somerset Isles. And then entered the Thalmor, or as you may prefer to know them as, the High Elf Nazis. The Thalmor had actually existed for a decent bit of time before this.
Now listen. I'm not the type of guy to judge a book by its... No, I am. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was literally about to lie to y'all right there. I am the type to judge a book by its cover. Yo, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I don't want to be that guy, but I can definitely get rid of bro in one hit. He looks like a level 1 type of just guardsman. Bro, I'm getting rid of him in one slap. As a matter of fact, bro, I'll walk up to him, bro. First of all, my aura will have this man just frozen in place like these. Yo, I'm backhanding this man, bro, with my right hand, no Drake. One hit, it's over, for real.
The fringe group of
I'm not even
radicalists.
lying to
They'd
y'all.
once tried to
truly.
unify the Somerset Isles previously in history, too. Of course, Tiber Septim and his magical Imperator Titan he borrowed from Warhammer put an end to that attempt, and even after that happened, they never really got any momentum behind their attempts at unification. But it did give them quite a grudge against Talos and his empire, which is something that, as you can probably guess, becomes pretty important going forward. Pretty much every high elf who wasn't a Thalmor dismissed them entirely, and that was followed by them laughing at these morons for the stupid views they held. But in this one moment of weakness, where the elves were left grasping at straws as to how the hell any of this happened, the Thalmor crept in. They began spreading news that the ending of the Oblivion Crisis was all their doing. It was the sacrifices of the Thalmor that allowed the elves to live another day, and that perhaps it was time for all Altmer to recognize that the Thalmor were the ones who should be in charge. Plenty of people were still skeptical of their claims and outright dismissed them as fools, but in this critical moment, just enough people were willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that they were soon able to gain complete power. Dissidents were silenced, either with exile or murder, and soon enough pogroms in the Isles of all those of non-Altmer blood had begun. Even that Ryandor gentleman, the high elf who by himself almost certainly did more than every single Thalmor combined to fight the Daedra, was killed for calling these assholes out on their bullshit. They finally got their—
So, bro, you can't even, like, call them out on, like, their lies? You get killed for that? Now, if it was me, I'm gonna be honest, like, y'all know how much aura I got in this whole Warhammer thing. Bro, if it was really up to me, bro, yo, if they even was like, you know what, for this blasphemy, you got to be killed. Yo, I'm looking at these guys like these. Like, bro, what are you gonna do? Bro, I pressed it, yo. I must be living in future times, cause yo, I'm telling them, bro, real rap, I'm like, yo, if I press this button, bro, cannons, arrows, and I got large beasts. I got beasts built like Brian Urlacher. Bro, I got beasts built like Prime Goldberg. Ready to go crazy. If you even breathe a breath of fresh air from my kingdom, yo, I'm pressing this button and I'm dropping everything on y'all. That's if, if I was the guy. But I'm going to be honest with you, he got cleaned up. Like the king, he got cleaned up.
wish, uniting the Somerset Isles under the banner of the Third Aldmeri Dominion in the year 29 of the Fourth Era. It of course didn't stop there. With a coup, Valenwood and all the wood elves that call it home were brought under the Thalmor's wing. Elsewhere, the land of the Khajiit was made a protectorate of them as well. All the while, the Thalmor continued eliminating any high elves who would speak out against them, until the only ones left either believed in their lunacy wholeheartedly or were too afraid of what would happen to them and their loved ones if they spoke out. The Empire of Cyrodiil, meanwhile, was in rough shape. Putting out a house fire doesn't magically fix the damage caused, after all. The Septon dynasty was dead and gone, their lands were ravaged by the Oblivion Crisis, and the Thalmor had been gobbling up the aforementioned lands of Elsewhere and Valenwood while the Empire was distracted trying to catch its breath. Black Marsh had become fully independent since the Crisis, since the Argonians decided they quite liked being on their own. Morrowind was in deep shit ever since the Tribunal either disappeared or were never ever reigned, and Hammerfell had a bit of an infighting problem going on. Only the provinces of High Rock, Skyrim, and Cyrodiil had any semblance.
Wait, is this the fantasy map right here, y'all? High Rock. Wait, is this it? This is it? Huh. Damn, I guess you could say everybody got a piece of the pie. Dang, this is so like... I don't know why, but I imagine it to be way bigger. Pause. See, I'm so smart at what I do. See, I know a lot of y'all clip me and stuff like that. It's never going to work. But I did imagine like the map will be way bigger. I'm gonna be honest.
Order to them. And do keep in mind that when I say High Rock, Skyrim, and Cyrodiil were ordered, they were ordered within the context of a continent-wide demon invasion having occurred relatively recently. That's not the kind of thing you just bounce back from. I mean, I guess, the Argonians did bounce back from it, but they have the magical trees that give them god powers when they need it. Emperor Titus Mede II had come to power in the year 168 of the Fourth Era, and had just 3 years to get a grip on his new position before things went as far south as they could, short of another Daedric invasion. The Thalmor, in the year 171, sent a delegation with a covered wagon to the Imperial city with a rather hefty list of demands.
That is a nice jacket, even though I don't want to be that guy. I'm not Brad Pitt or Michael B. Jordan. This man is scary looking. I'm not gonna, bro, if I'm walking, bro, and I look and I look to my left and I see his face, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro, yo, the goosebumps that I will have on my arm will be crazy. Yo, y'all ever like look at like something and it just scares you like so quickly that like the goosebumps just, it goes crazy. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Like, my whole body will be covered in goosebumps if I turn around to my left and I see, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Bro, yo, I'm gonna be shooketh. I'm not, yo, I'm gonna be like actually sour. But I will say, this jacket right here, this jacket, this long, like, you know, President Donald Trump jacket, it's fire.
Some important ones were as follows. Give us a shitload of money as tribute to our oh-so-wonderful empire. Cede large portions of Hammerfell to the newly formed Dominion. Disband those goddamn Blades assholes who keep interfering with our work. And perhaps most importantly of all, outlaw worship of that upstart Talos who handed us our asses on a silver platter. Otherwise, it's time for war. Titus Meade was at a crossroads very early in his career. On the one hand, he could surrender to the Thalmor and their demands. His generals and advisors warned him that the legions of the Empire were in no state to fight.
Their offers accept or we will attack their demands. Hey, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro, because, like, let's be honest, this is Warhammer. Like, all these guys, bro, their egos, bro, are as high as the Eiffel Tower. Bro, he is not surrendering at all.
War at this time. What with Tamriel still reeling from both the Oblivion Crisis and the more recent Imperial Crisis, because in the Elder Scrolls, supernatural catastrophes happen every 5 minutes. On the other hand, he could stand defiant, even though it may damn well cost him not only his life, but the entire empire and everyone in it. In no uncertain terms, Titus Meade told the Thalmor to go fuck themselves.
I told you. This is Warhammer, bro. They're gonna, like, I told y'all, like, bro, everybody's ego is up here, bro. Yo, it could be like 1 versus 1,000, and bro's still gonna be like, you know what, man? I don't even care about none of that. Let's go. Even though he gonna lose. I mean, I guess everybody likes that. Like, you know, think about it. Like, nobody likes the guy that plays it smart. Think about it, y'all. Like, nobody likes the dude that is calculated and plays it smart. Everybody likes the guy. Everybody likes the courageous dude that even if he's outnumbered, he's still gonna give it his best. Everybody likes that, whether that's in video games, TV shows, whatever. Everybody would rather watch that guy try his best against everybody else, against the calculated dude who, you know, who says no now, or who makes himself look weak right now, and then, like, you know, plays it smart later down the line, and, you know, comes back and does whatever. So, yeah.
Perhaps a bit more professionally than that, but the message was there. The Thalmor then tipped over their cart and revealed that the gift they had was—
Yo, real quick, I'm not gonna lie to you. Yo, I'm playing it smart. I'm like, man, y'all got it, bro. I'm sorry. I retreat. My bad, bro. I'm bowing down to everything. Y'all got it. Bro, I'm turning around, bro, and I'm smiling like 2020 Flight reacts, bro. Like these, bro. I promise, bro. I will get my revenge. No, bro. Yo, no lie. No lie, bro. Yo, in they face, I'm gonna surrender because I'm down bad right now. Like, they got me up against the wall. Like, I'm a retreat real quick. Yo, later down the line, when I get my revenge, bro, and my throat gonna be at bro's neck like these, I'm like, yo, remember when you gave me that ultimatum? Yo, that's how I'm gonna be.
The head of every single Blades agent that had been assigned to the Somerset Isles in Valenwood, and war was on. And fittingly enough for a group that's very explicitly modeled after the Nazis, the first stages of the Great War were similar to the first stages of the Second World War. Within days of war breaking out, the Thalmor had attacked all across the Empire's provinces. They had set up hidden camps near the border of Valenwood and Cyrodiil, because while the Thalmor are backstabbing, weaselly, disgusting vermin, they're also clever. Thalmor General Lord Narifin, who you should remember because he gets what he deserves later on, led attacks across Cyrodiil's southern border. The city of Leowyn was quickly captured, while Bravil was besieged and small groups of Thalmor were striking all across the land. Meanwhile, a separate army led by one Lady Aranelia, which to give the Thalmor any amount of credit is perhaps the single most elf name I've ever heard in my life, crossed straight through eastern Cyrodiil into Hammerfell. While the legions had a presence in Hammerfell as they do all provinces of the Empire, they were vastly outnumbered by the Thalmor and so were forced to retreat through the Alakir Desert in what is known as the March of Thirst. And you know, I couldn't find much information on that one, but let's all use some context clues and assume that it sucked for everyone involved who did—
Bro, this is my worst nightmare, bro. This is my worst nightmare, y'all. Bro, if I'm in a desert, bro, and I look over the horizon and I see these, man, bro, I might have to use my own tears as hydration, bro. Bro, there isn't a lick of water out there, bro. There ain't a drop of water out there.
Neb knives for ears. Things were going horribly for the Empire, to say the least, and only a year into the war, the Empire looked at the Thalmor like it was on the verge of total collapse. Of course, as I said at the beginning of the video, take note of how I worded that once again. It looked like it was about to kick the bucket. It wasn't there quite yet, though things were looking dire. Things in the war were moving at lightning speed, so allow me to do a quick overview of the situation. Southern Hammerfell had only one city left remaining, Agathe. It's spelled like this, but I didn't know how to pronounce the word tithe until half of you yelled at me for saying it wrong, so my apologies if I'm butchering this city's name. This was exactly what the Thalmor wanted, the entire southern coast of the region, so they were content in Hammerfell to consolidate their holdings and leave it at that for the most part. In addition, by the year 172, the second year of the war, the Thalmor had continued pushing into Cyrodiil and encroached ever further into its heartland. Bravel and Anvil had fallen to the elves both, and by year's end, Narifin had pushed to the gates of the Imperial city itself. I'm sure he said something stupid and poetic along the lines of the elves have come to retake their lost empire or some bullshit like that, because Pelennor Whitestrake did one thing wrong and that was failing to finish the job. At this point, the pace of the war begins slowing down. The Thalmor, while having made tremendous gains and cutting off the Imperial city from nearly all sources of supply, couldn't keep up their early pace. Survivors from the March of Thirst have been able to regroup in northern Hammerfell and were joined by additional reinforcements. And most importantly for the Empire, they had an uncontested stream of steady reinforcements ready, willing, and able to cut a whole lot of elves into a whole lot of pieces. Remember how I said there were really only 3 stable Imperial nations left? One is Cyrodiil, which is covered in Thalmor at the moment. 2 is High Rock, which while providing the Empire with reinforcements is a bit too far away to reliably reinforce the homelands. But then there was Skyrim, and there weren't any Thalmor in Skyrim to keep a whole bunch of angry Nords from coming down to demonstrate to the Altmer what happened to those snow elves thousands of years ago. In the year 173, things began to change in the Imperial's favor, at least outside of Cyrodiil. The siege of Hagatha was lifted, driving the Thalmor out and having the added bonus of cooling down the tensions between the 2 main factions of the region. Lady Aranelia was successful in crossing the desert to get away from the angry people with curved swords, but then she went straight into the Imperial legions under the command of one General Decian.
Is that the Skaven? Wait, is that the wait a minute. Yo, hold up, give me 1 second, y'all. Ooh, that's the Skaven. Yo, so if I'm not, riddle me this, y'all. Isn't the Skaven like, that's what the rats are, right? Isn't that what the rats are? If I'm wrong, you know, correct me if I'm wrong. But like, bro, like, I'm pretty sure this is where the New York rats live, bro.
Swords, but then she went straight into the Imperial legions under the command of one General Decianus. At the city of... what the fuck? Alright, well, at the city of Skaven, those 2 armies clashed in one of the largest battles of the war. Though the outcome wasn't really decisive for either side, Aranelia's army was weakened to the point that any further gains would be impossible. And in a defensive war, keeping the attacker from attacking any further is a good enough start as any. Now, before I move on with the war itself, I want to talk to you about someone important to this little lore event here. Emperor Titus Mede II. A lot of people think he's a pushover who signed away the empire with the White-Gold Concordat in the highest show of cowardice.
Hey, you know what's not a pushover? His pockets. Hey, his pockets is dumb fat. You can't push those over. Yo, hey, his pockets. Hey, I can already tell he got that bread. Yo, his pockets. You can't push him over one. Yo, you can't buy him out, bro. I can already tell just looking at his fit. This is something that a lot of simpletons can't. A lot of simpletons with simple money, they can't live up to this type of potential. First of all, look at this jacket. He got the bro, his jacket got his own golden chain, bro. This is astronomical, bro. Look at look at the design on his shirt. Like, I'm gonna keep it real for what it is, y'all. And maybe I'm glazing a little bit. And if I am glazing, then so be it. Man, yo, if I walked in, listen, again, I'm not Brad Pitt or Michael B. Jordan. But if I had this fit on, bro, yo, I'm walking into every store, bro. I don't care if I'm window shopping, no 50 cent. Bro, I'm legit walking into every store, bro, with this on. And I'm looking at every single woman like these. You see it. Yo, I'll stare at her. I'm not even gonna just, I'll look at her like these. Like, if I like you, I'ma have you. Cause I got this jacket on with this golden chain. Yo, I'm gonna look at her like these. Yo, I'm gonna have my hands on like both, on like both of like the sides, right? Yo, I'm gonna have my hands like these. I'm gonna look at them. I'm a. Yo, I'm gonna have my hands on both of the sides. I'm a.
This opinion is pretty prevalent both in-universe and out of it. Let me tell you why it's bullshit. Titus Meade, like I said before, was dealt a bad hand from the very start. He inherited an empire in decline, one that was almost wholly inferior from what it once was due to no fault of his own. The Thalmor were the rising power of Nirn, while the empire was falling apart. The spirit of Tiber Septim himself even says that perhaps it's time for some—
Is that him? What happened? Wait a minute. Wait. That can't be him. No. This gotta be a different character. Man, why he like he going through his emo phase right now, bro? And what's this? Okay, wait a minute. I'm not really liking this fit, but like, bro, what happened? This can't be the same character.
Something new to take its place in Morrowind. Whether or not you side with him is up to you, but either way it clearly was a ghost of its former glory. And sure enough, barely 3 years into his reign, the Thalmor begin threatening him, and when he tells them to go away, within days nearly their entire army is pouring into his lands. And let it be known again that his advisors all asked him not to go through with this war and accept the demands of the Thalmor. And there's not a chance in hell that at least some of them weren't Nords, the very people we've spent the last 11.5 years listening to bitch about the treaty Meade signed. Titus Meade II stood tall against the Thalmor and did the best he possibly could. And to be frank, if you disagree, you're a goddamn fool. And nothing encapsulates this point better than the siege of the Imperial city. In the spring of 174, the Thalmor redirected pretty much their entire army towards the capital of the Empire. It was the last bastion of meaningful resistance that they cared to take. Plus, the White-Gold Tower is located inside the city, and the Thalmor are very interested in those things for reasons we'll cover later. The army of Narifin attacked from the south, west, and east, while an additional army came from the north to ensure the city was completely cut off. Titus Meade once again had two options before him. He could do the classic heroic sacrifice and go down with the ship and ensure that the few remaining months the Empire had left he would be worshipped as a hero. Or he could do what very few people in—
I don't care about none of that. I don't want to be worshipped as no hero. I'm the one that's doing the worshipping. I'm the one that's doing the worshipping around here to my Lord and Savior. Listen, I don't care about trying to go down and being worshipped as no hero. I don't care about none of that. That's the dumb option. Going down with the boat and doing that's the dumb option, y'all. I'm picking the other option.
Fantasy settings do, and use his goddamn brain a bit, so he hatched a plan. It was very simple in concept and required a set of Skyforged steel testicles to pull off. He was going to fight his way out of the Imperial city and the Aldmeri encirclement. The 8th Legion of the Imperial Army fought a doomed fight on the walls of the city to hold out long enough for Titus Meade and his main army to retreat away from the capital. It was a resounding success, but this is the sort of success that no one celebrates over much. With the main army gone and the 8th Legion destroyed, the Imperial city was now in Thalmor hands, and they did a whole load of wacky and silly war crimes on the inhabitants.
Oh man, this thing looking like prime Gotham City. Look at this, y'all. This thing is burnt down to the ground. Whoa, am I good? Hello? Whoa, hold up. Am I good? Am I solid? Hold on, let me make sure I'm recording real quick. I am recording. I don't know why I did that, y'all. My bad. Sorry about that. Yo, y'all, give me 1 sec. All right, y'all, we back. I fixed it. But yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. This thing is looking like prime Gotham City, y'all. The fact that, like, bro, he didn't even just do damage. Like, bro, he legit just burned everything. Look, he burned every single building in this town, bro.
Just elves being elves, you know. By all rights, it looked as if the Empire had well and truly lost with this. Of course, much like earlier, it only looked like that to the Thalmor. And indeed, Titus Meade was more than happy to keep the Thalmor thinking this was the case. From the winter of 174 into 175, he gave every appearance that he was getting ready to surrender, making all sorts of motions and sending messengers to the right stuck-up pointy-eared pricks, that sort of thing. And then immediately afterward, he was getting ready for the last Hail Mary of the war. General Decianus, the general who had fought at the city named after Ratman, had been ordered to come assist Cyrodiil rather than continue fighting the Aldmeri in Hammerfell. While he complied with his emperor, he discharged as many invalids from the army as possible to help keep the province at least somewhat secure. You might be wondering how that helped in any way, understandably so. The thing is, invalids is in the largest quotation marks possible. He'd walk around and go, "How's your arm feeling today, soldier?" And if they said something along the lines of, slept on it kinda funny, but it's alright, he'd tell them they were not fit for active duty in Cyrodiil and were to be discharged to remain in Hammerfell. It was simply a happy coincidence, no doubt, that these men were allowed to form the—
Bro, I'm calling in sick. If it's that easy, yo, I'm calling in sick, yo. Bro, I would bro. I feel like if I was like, now obviously this is Warhammer, so this ain't real, but if I was like born like, you know, in like the early days or whatever, bro, like if I was like born like before water was a thing, and like, you know, you got these guys like fighting war, whatever, like I'm pretty sure like the primary weapon that we all had was like a sword and like a little spear, whatever, right? If all I have to do was be like, yo, man, I got my stomach hurt or I got a tummy ache. Bro, if all I gotta do is say that, man, I'm spamming that, bro. That's my excuse all the time. I think I got a stomach virus. Like, bro, I would like, seriously, like, I would spam that every single time. Like, you're not catching me on the battlefield. Especially the days that we get, like, you know, that we gotta fight or, like, battle, whatever, bro. Man, I'm making up a 10 out of 10 excuse. Oh, I gotta take the wifey out, or ooh, my foot hurt. Like, I just played a game of 33 against LeBron. Like, bro, like, I'm making up any excuse. Like,
Own army to drive back the elves from Hammerfell later on. Regardless, Decianus and his remaining forces then marched home to heed the Emperor's call. In the year 175, Emperor Titus Mede committed all of his available forces to one final desperate gambit. He assembled General Decianus and his remaining legionnaires, who the Thalmor assumed was actually still in Hammerfell as a result of the legionnaires he left behind. In addition to this was an army of Nords led by one General Jonah and a final army led by himself. At least I'm gonna keep saying it was led by him. That Blades game on mobile or whatever the hell it was invented a whole player character and had him replace Titus Mede. But if Bethesda can drag and break their own canon away, then I can too. So we're gonna go with it was Titus Mede himself who led this army. The battle to retake the Imperial city was to be known as the Battle of the Red Ring, which...
man, boy, yo, if you had an Xbox 360, this was the worst thing you could ever see. Let me tell you something, boy. Yo, I had the red ring of death for the first time ever. Bro, was it 2011? I think it was like 2012. One of the two. I think I was playing FIFA or something like that, bro. And I remember getting the red ring of death, bro. Bro, my heart stopped, boy. Like, that was like the big bad wolf, like, back in the day, y'all, for like all gamers. Like, if your Xbox got that, it was over with. Now, to be fair, all you had to do, I think, was I think I put like my Xbox over like a dry towel or something like that. And yeah, that's how like it worked. But like,
something most people who played Oblivion or Skyrim on an original Xbox 360 would be familiar with. It pains me there's people who won't get that joke because they're not old enough. General Decianus and his forces came at the city from the west, while Jonah and the Nords came from the south. Though the Thalmor did launch several counterattacks, especially on Jonah's army, they were unsuccessful in driving it off, and Titus Mede led his forces into the fray on the 5th day of the battle, gunning it directly for the Imperial city. Wielding the legendary blade Goldbrand, a sword cleverly named after the fact it is gold, he carved his way into his capital and took it back. The Thalmor tried to get the hell out of Dodge and were promptly met by a shield wall of Nords, all too happy to send them to whatever pagan hell the Altmer believe in. Probably Chicago or something like that. General Narifin himself was captured alongside the Imperial city, and was kept alive for over a month straight, hanging off the White-Gold Tower. It's not known where he was buried, and some sources say he was carried off by a Daedra at the end of his stay in Hotel Cyrodiil. Look no further for proof that
dang, bro was carried off like Prime Spider-Man.
Thalmor are the worst, and the Daedra helping this guy out. Personally, I like to think they just chucked him in some plot of land being used for farming. His corpse would then go on to become fertilizer, doing more for the people of Nirn than it ever did when it was alive. With this resounding success, a large majority of the Thalmor army in Cyrodiil had been completely obliterated.
So he was, okay, they actually turned bro into some fertilizer. Now, if I'm keeping it real, I was about to say, bro, there's no way, like, I could turn my body into dirt, but, like, I'm gonna keep it real, bro. Like, I think that's a nice way to, not to finish me off, but, like, I mean, turning my body into fertilizer, I mean, it's still at use of something, you know, so I don't think it's that bad. Now, you know, like I said before, I was about to say, like, bro, there's no way, you know, I just turned myself into fertilizer. Like, what are they doing with my precious body? But then I'm like, you know what? I'm still I'm helping people out, so.
And the Empire was able to force a peace deal with the Thalmor known as the White-Gold Concordat. The aftermath of this piece of paper is quite well known, and I'm sure you're aware of the big sticking points. I'm gonna assume you have played Skyrim or watched people play it or have been on the internet in the past 10 years, but for the sake of a complete video, I'll go over the big points. Ultimately, the provisions forced on the Empire were a little different than the ones in the initial demands that Thalmor sent. Southern Hammerfell ended up being given over to the Thalmor, despite not only the bloody battle at Skaven, but the Imperial remnants waging a war against the Thalmor alongside the native Redguards. The Blades were disbanded, and the survivors were to be hunted down by the Thalmor agents in the coming years. And of course, Talos was no longer to be worshipped as a deity by the humans of Tamriel, and the Thalmor were allowed more or less open access to the Empire to ensure worship didn't occur. Any followers of the man-god found were to be dealt with lethally. And of course, all of this had some pretty drastic consequences. Hammerfell was outraged by what they saw as Cyrodiil handing away its independence. They felt that the Thalmor could have been defeated once and for all if the Empire had just kept going, and so they waged their own war against the Elves. The Empire was forced to abandon any claims to the region and to recognize it as its own independent province.
And also, the more I actually, let me see, like the more like I check out this video, it's kind of like a mix of like, this video is kind of like a mix of like Warhammer and Skyrim. Like, no, not Skyrim, like Elder Scrolls. This is like a mix of like the two games, I think. Like I'm getting like a big mix of like the two. Is it like is this like video like combined with these two? Or because he mentioned Skyrim a lot. He mentioned like the Elder a lot, so I'm thinking like the Elder Scrolls and stuff like that. Y'all let me know down below, because that's like the vibe that I definitely got. You know what I mean?
It's because of this. Hammerfell was successful in dealing with the Thalmor, which lends some credence to their claims, although at least personally I find it understandable the Empire did what it did. Their armies were barely holding on as it was, and while the Thalmor in the region were annihilated, there were plenty more elves in the Somerset Isles. And while this may be cheating, the loading screens for Skyrim say what the Blades in the game do. It was either this or complete destruction for the Empire. Speaking of the Blades, this was perhaps the least consequential of the major stipulations of the treaty. While plenty of knowledge and capable agents were no doubt lost as the Thalmor hunted them down, in the end the Empire just formed the Penitus Oculatus to replace the Blades as the Emperor's bodyguards. You can argue that they weren't as effective as the Blades, but both of them were the bodyguards when an Emperor was assassinated during his rule, so it's not like their track record is any worse. If nothing else, the Oculatus never tried to get me to kill Parthenax, and of course, Talos worship being outlawed made a whole load of people unhappy. At first, the Empire just went, yeah bro, we're totally not allowing Talos worship. Trust me bro, I promise. And then Thalmor Justiciar started walking around the Empire purging worshippers, and the treaty was actually enforced from then on out. Not much by the Empire, granted, but by the Thalmor agents. Cyrodiil no doubt had some strife regarding this, but in Skyrim this is where things got real spicy. I won't go too much into detail on it because you have no doubt played Skyrim, but the Nords of the region were quite unhappy with this, and a large portion of them led by Ulfric Stormcloak did their damnedest to rebel from the Empire they saw as forcing unfair obligations on other people. The Nords in particular were so angry because not only were they forced to follow the Concordat despite the Thalmor never having gotten to their lands, they also believed Tiber Septim was one of them. Nobody tell the Nords he was probably a Breton. Both sides know damn well that war in the future is inevitable. Hell, the Thalmor call it the first war with the Empire. You don't call something the first if you don't plan on there being a second. Both sides are making their own preparations to get ready for round 2. The Thalmor don't intend to lose this time, and with Skyrim erupting into civil war, things look grim for the Empire. But hey, at least the Empire didn't have to give the Thalmor all that gold.
Hey, comment down below real quick. What do you guys like, if you were to like, because I think like, I don't know if like if like the Elder Scrolls or like Skyrim, like, you know, ever like combined with like Warhammer Fantasy, like officially. I don't know if that's like an official thing. If it is, then, you know, just slap me in the face and call me Edward. But who do y'all think will win? And this is Warhammer Fantasy, not 40K, because 40K, bro, they got all type of, you know, magic, and also they got Vulcan. Like obviously, like 40K would like just destroy both Fantasy and Elder Scrolls, you know, Skyrim, you know, etc. But like, who would win between Fantasy versus Skyrim? Who would win between those two? Y'all let me know down below.
Right? That's something. If nothing else, assuming you play Skyrim like me, you've probably killed more Thalmor throughout the course of your playthrough than died in this entire war. And if you allow me to speculate, there's one more thing to consider.
YouTube, that's catch up, by the way, YouTube.
In the Elder Scrolls, avatars of the dead god Lorcan have a habit of appearing whenever elves really need to die as soon as possible. Ysgramor and his fancy axe weren't one, though one of his 500 companions likely was, and of course Pelennor Whitestrike was almost certainly another such case. He'd suffocate you with moths if you tried to say that to his face, but among being a cyborg time traveler, he's probably also an avatar of Lorcan. And of course, history's greatest elf hater. Space Marines have nothing on the level of hatred Pelennor Whitestrike has for elves. Who's to say that in the coming second war against the Thalmor, another one of these figures won't pop up? But for now, the story of the Great War for Tamriel is over. Unlike many background events in fantasy stories, the war is a living memory for many people in this setting. And if I remember correctly, Bethesda said we'll see the outcome of the Skyrim Civil War in the next Elder Scrolls game, which will no doubt be released sometime within the next century. So look forward to that, my fellow haters of Myr. We'll have our revenge yet. Thank you, of course, to my wonderful channel members. You were...
Man, shout out to the boy PancreasNoWork. I know y'all been begging for a lot of his videos for me to react to him a lot, so I got y'all. Other than that, man, comment down below. What do y'all think about this one? This is definitely a long video. I don't know how long this video is, but hopefully y'all actually enjoyed this one. Other than that, man, I'm gonna see y'all later. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. It would mean the absolute world. Yo, also go check out PancreasNoWork's channel as well. If y'all haven't actually, subscribed to his channel, go subscribe to his channel as well, y'all. And other than that, I'm gonna see y'all later. Next time out. Peace out.